In the past 15 years, Cray Research has earned the reputation of a winning company. But the real story of Cray Research is the story of its people, the visions they share, the contributions they make, the challenges they meet, and the fun they have. It all started on April 6, 1972, at Halley Lab in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Seymour Cray, head designer and senior vice president at Control Data Corporation, left CDC and started his own company. His new company would help him fulfill a vision of continuing to design and build the most powerful computers. With the help of George Hansen, Andrew Scott, Frank Mullaney, and Noel Stone, colleagues and business associates who knew of his reputation, Seymour set about the task of founding this new company. A handful of people joined Seymour in his adventure during the first 6 months. Throughout the next year, they worked to design the new machine. The Cray 1 system soon would become the world's first commercially successful vector processor. Other vector machines had been attempted before, but the Cray 1 computer demonstrated the practical implementation that eluded earlier computer architects. In 1974, Seymour Cray and the 25 people who worked with him had an operational prototype of the Cray 1 computer. At the University of Minnesota, he described the basics of this new system.
You know, there's something about the speed of light. It's just hard to get around. And so if you're going to build a fast machine, it's just got to be small.
Most of 1975 was dedicated to building the first Cray 1 computer.
We were going through a period of roughly 6 months of wiring and 6 months of checkout of the machine.
Confidence was high.
I don't believe that there was any doubt once the machine was assembled and we started actually seeing the performance of the machine that that there was really much doubt in the technical people's mind that the system wouldn't be successful. I guess today it's more successful than I had anticipated myself 13 years ago.
1976 was a significant year for Cray Research.
We got busy and worried about installation and proceeded with trying to get the machine ready to go.
In March, the first Cray 1 computer was installed at Los Alamos National Laboratory.
Jack and I did the mechanical install on that machine. Everybody watched the loading of that first truck, and eventually we got it all loaded, a lot of picture taking, and closed the doors on it, and then we all went back inside, and I think we kind of started the shipping party syndrome of Cray Research at that time, because we went in and we popped a few champagne corks and proceeded to have a good time, as long as champagne lasted.
That first installation lived up to expectations. In fact, success at Los Alamos led to a purchase order for a Cray 1 system by the National Center for Atmospheric Research. In March, the company successfully completed an initial public offering of common stock. And at year-end, Cray Research employed 124 people and showed its first revenue, $509,000. During 1977, revenue increased 22 times to $11.4 million.
You have to look back at 72, 73, 75, 76 for our first sale of a public offering, our first revenue, and then 1977, our first profit.
Cray Research was on the road to success.
3 went to NCAR, 4 went down to Los Alamos, and then serial number 1 went to UK. So our sale was on NCAR in the amount of $8 million, I think, which that $8 million which Seymour was looking at to get back our original investment. So if you really look at it, that first sale was to get back that $8 million we raised in private and debenture offerings. So that's what Seymour was after, and that's what he got.
Cray's first international branch office was opened in the United Kingdom to service an installation at the European Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasting. During 1978, 5 more systems were installed, and Cray doubled its original manufacturing rate of 4 systems per year. Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory installed a Cray 1 at the Magnetic Fusion Energy Center. Then, in September, United Computing Systems, now SIS, in Kansas City, Missouri, became Cray's first commercial customer. In October, Cray stock split 5 for 2. Cray Research ended the year with $17.2 million in revenue and 321 people. Research and development continue to play a critical role at Cray Research.
Cray's always talked to their customers about their wants and their needs, and if at all possible, try to incorporate them in their systems. I think out of talks, with customers and that, Cray kind of evolved from the Cray 1A to the Cray 1S, which really incorporated an input-output processor if the customers felt the need for it. We had some challenges along the way when we developed it. Probably the biggest ones were trying to make a 2-plate module rather than a 1-plate module. And along with this went the wedging for the heat transfer and the interconnects between plates rather than through the I/O connections out the back.
2 new subsidiaries were formed in 1979, one in Japan and another in West Germany. The University of London Computing Center became Cray's first university customer. By year-end, Cray generated $42.7 million in revenue, installed 5 new systems, and increased their workforce to 524 people. With expansion came increased recognition for Cray Research. In addition to the scientific community, the business and financial communities were taking note of this small but promising company. Cray stock split 3 for 1 and began trading on the New York Stock Exchange. By year-end, Cray Research showed revenue of $60.7 million with 9 new installations, including acceptance of a system at Bell Labs, the first customer in the electronics industry. Another subsidiary opened in France. Growth continued to challenge the company in 1981. In March, Arco, the company's first petroleum customer, installed their Cray system. The aerospace industry followed in May with an installation at Grumman Aerospace Corporation.
The most noteworthy event of 1981 was Seymour separating himself from the company in order to be an independent consultant. He wanted to concentrate on computer design, where his genius is unique. A lot of people, I'm sure, were upset by this decision of his, but I was convinced that he would not have done it unless he'd had full confidence in John Rollwagon as chairman and CEO. They share the values on which the company was founded. Also, in 1981, we built 3 new buildings here in Chippewa Falls. This one, the development building, and in the Riverside Industrial Park, printed circuits and Riverside Project. We had 1,000 employees, which was a lot.
During the year, 13 new Cray systems were installed. By year-end, 29% of the company's total install base was with commercial accounts. 1982 was a newsworthy year for Cray Research.
George Herman reports.
These American workers at Cray Research in Wisconsin are putting together a supercomputer at one of 2 American...
In April, the Cray XMP and solid-state storage device were introduced. The company entered yet another industry, advanced graphics, with a contract with Digital Omnibus. By December, Cray Research had delivered its 50th system. The company closed the year with $141 million in revenue, 15 new installations, and 1,352 employees. In the meantime, people were busy preparing for Seymour's next machine, the Cray 2. It was a year of intense training and preparation.
Whenever a new project is started at Cray, that brings a lot of interest to the people that are working on it because it requires them to learn new skills, and that makes the job very exciting.
Parts for new products were growing smaller. The Cray, too, made use of new technologies and processes that required new skills.
There was so many different things happening back in the early years. Drafting, keeping all the drawings up to date on the sketches that were being produced, supporting all the different pieces of equipment that were being designed at that time.
By the end of 1983, Cray had established subsidiaries in Canada and the Netherlands. The company showed revenue of $170 million with 16 new installations. 1,551 people were now part of Cray Research. Product development cycles continued to escalate in 1984. It was the year of twos. During 1984, Cray Research introduced the Cray 2 system. Revenue reached $229 million. 2 new subsidiaries opened, one in Italy and one in Sweden. There were now over 200 application packages available, and the company employed 2,203 people. Cray also entered a new market with the acceptance of a Cray XMP at General Motors Research, the first customer in the automotive industry. By 1985, Cray Research had clearly made its mark. The 100th Cray system had been installed, including the first Cray 2 system at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Enhancements to the Cray XMP system were introduced. 28 new systems were installed. Cray's financial activities were again in the limelight. Cray stock split 2-for-1. New subsidiaries opened in Switzerland and Australia. The company ended the year with $380 million in revenue and 3,180 employees. New markets continued to look to Cray Research. DuPont Chemical installed a Cray system in February, and in April, the National Cancer Institute followed. By year-end, subsidiaries were established in Hong Kong and Norway. 35 new computer systems were installed, and the company showed revenue of $596 million with 3,999 people. Cray's commitment to invest 15% of revenue in research and development each year resulted in further enhancements to the Cray XMP and SSD systems. From 1972 to 1986, R&D budgets exceeded $265 million. In April 1987, Cray Research celebrates its 15-year anniversary. A product announcement in February expanded the Cray 2 and Cray XMP product lines and set the stage for the year ahead.
I see more talent in the company today than what we had in that 6 or 7 group of technical people, 12, 15 years ago.
One thing I've always felt working at Cray is, whether it be Seymour or Les, I could name a lot of names, is I don't feel that I work for people, I work with them. And I think this is a challenge to the company to keep this going forever, because it gives a person a real nice feeling.